Hello? Today, you will hear a story about a man's revenge. When I was little, I loved to watch people who were doing high-altitude work. For me, they were fearless people who could be at breathtaking heights for several hours. The building was close to our house. I often sat near the window and peered at the top of the unfinished high-rise building. One builder on a crane transported concrete slabs to the top. A group of workers on top in orange overalls received the load. Other workers hung on ropes over the abyss doing installation work. I dreamed that when I grew up, I would definitely work at a height. When I grew up, I took up high-altitude work. Initially, I worked in a hired group. We did almost everything that could be done on top. The work was hard and exhausting, but I enjoyed it. I could sit in the cradle for a long time without any problems and calmly do my job. It was calm here. Only the wind reminded me that I was at a decent height. Below, people looked like ants. They ran fast, cars hurried somewhere. All the city noise was not so loud at altitude. When I was just starting to work, I already had a girlfriend named Stella. I immediately liked this brown-eyed brunette and stole my heart. I will never forget our first meeting at my friend Harry's birthday party. Harry was a very popular guy, the soul of any company. There were always a lot of people at his parties. We were meeting at the country house where Harry's parents didn't come often. But for us, it was a favorite place where we often walked. It was a very chilly evening. We sat by the evening fire. I knew far from everyone who was here that day. Stella was sitting not far from me. She was wearing a light blue blouse and a short skirt. She was obviously cold. "Your name is Stella, right?" I asked the girl going up to her. "Yes. And you are Harry's friend, Kevin?" Stella asked in response. "Yes." "Nice to meet you, Stella. Look, I don't want to annoy you. I just saw that you're cold. Here, have my jacket," I suggested to Stella. "Very nice of you, Kevin. I won't refuse. Sit down. Otherwise, I came with Jessica, but she is clearly not up to me now, and I don't really know anyone else here." "Well, I see you have fun here just like me. And don't say today, somehow, I'm not in the mood for a loud party at all." I sat down next to Stella. I had several bottles of beer with me. We drank a little beer and talked. Surprisingly, our conversation was very light and unobtrusive. There were no awkward moments. Stella laughed, looking at me with her incredibly beautiful and large brown eyes. I tried to look away so that she could see my embarrassment. I didn't even hope that I could get close to Stella. But everything worked out, of course. We started dating and soon got married. I have lived with Stella for 25 years of marriage. I always tried to provide Stella with everything she needed to keep her going, but initially it was quite difficult. "Kevin, I would really like to move to a new house," Stella told me. "Honey, I'm working on. I just need a little more time right now. I have a great idea, and soon it will become a reality." I answered, "Kevin, I love you very much. But your constant promises don't make our lives easier. Look how we live. We can't change the wallpaper even in this house. What about my wardrobe? I'm embarrassed to meet with girlfriends. There is not a single normal thing. All this drives me crazy. You know? I understand, dear. I understand. I won't disappoint you. I promise. And I really didn't let my wife down. I collected enough money to open my own high-rise work company. I bought all the necessary equipment to be able to work safely at height. I already had a small team that worked with me. As time went on, my firm received more and more orders, and orders became more and more extensive. I stopped climbing walls at a height a long time ago and was engaged in the development of my company. And things were going pretty well. William came to meet me. He had large bald patches and a bulging belly. But William was dressed decently enough. This guy had a lot of money. He came to me in patent leather shoes and a brown jacket that wrinkled comically on his shoulders. He didn't look like a very nice guy, but he was a potential client of mine who could give me a decent order. "Hi, Kevin. Well, I'm ready to offer you a serious job." "Hello, William. Good. I'm listening to you. Look, I have about a dozen apartments in the city center. Each of them needs to be insulated from the outside. I heard that you are doing a very responsible job, and I decided to contact you. If you do this job well, then I will have other projects for you." "I'm glad to hear it. And with great pleasure, I'll get to work. A little later, I will give you an estimate and a similar amount." "That is great. Look, can we seal our deal? Let's relax in the sauna with the girls. Let's have a great time. William, you forgive me, of course, but I'm married." "So what if you're married? These are all prejudices. You need to have fun to the fullest no matter what." "No, William, I'm sorry, but this is not for me. I love my wife, and that's not what I do." "You live boring." "Kevin. Maybe so, but I like everything." And then Stella came into my office. "Honey, I'm sorry that I didn't warn you and I distract you from business. I ran to give you the keys to Jessica's house. She left for a couple of weeks and forgot to bring some things to her mother. Wouldn't it'd be difficult for you to stop by in the evening to pick up some things? There will be 2 boxes at the entrance and take them." "Yes, honey. No problem. Here, meet my partner. This is William, and this is my wife, Stella." I introduced my wife to William. "Nice to meet you, William." Stella said, "It is my great pleasure to meet such a woman of extraterrestrial beauty." William replied excitedly, "Stella is gone." William seemed to shake all over when he saw my wife. It was evident from this guy that he was very lustful. "Now I understand why you are not drawn to other girls." William smiled wickedly and looked at me. "Yes, William. Exactly. Just look. This is my wife." I answered, "Yes. You do not think anything bad. Well done, you grabbed such a beauty." "Thank you, William." We continue to work with William, although I frankly did not like this guy from our first meeting. He was very arrogant. He got to the bottom of every little thing in the project in order to bring down the price as much as possible. But I try to treat him the same as I treat my other clients. I sat in the kitchen in my bathrobe, drinking my favorite coffee without sugar and milk, and leafing through the newsfeed. Suddenly, Stella's phone rang on the bar counter. She went into the hall and forgot the phone in the kitchen. She received a call from an unsigned number that was very familiar to me. "Honey, someone is calling you," I said, holding the phone to Stella. "Honey." "Thank you very much." Stella answered nervously and bewildered when she saw who was calling her and went out to talk to another room. I leafed through my phone book and saw that it was William's number. But why the hell did he call my wife? When Stella returned, I began to question her. "Darling, who called you?" "Dear, yes, this is on business. Do not pay attention." Stella tried to avoid answering. "And what are you doing with William? How did you get his number?" I asked anxiously. "Honey, I just didn't want to fill your head with unnecessary information. William just can help us a lot with real estate. We can get our dream home at a very low price." Stella began to explain to me. "Who? William? This fat hog can only profit. He's a phenomenal curmudgeon. Nothing good William can offer, and stop talking to him. This guy is clearly some kind of muddy. I already want to finish the project as soon as possible and never see him again. Honey, why are you so wound up?" As for me, William is a well-mannered person from a good family. Yes. This type is more like a swindler than a decent person. I shouted. I don't know, Kevin, what's wrong with him, but don't tell me how to handle him. I'll figure it out myself. Stellar answered indignantly and went into another room. This situation has thrown me off track. There was an unpleasant feeling of suspicion that prevented me from focusing on anything else. Could Stella cheat on me with this bastard? He was very greedy for women, but how could Stella fall for him? There were more and more questions in my head. On the table was my favorite dish, chicken in a creamy sauce. An incredible smell spread throughout the kitchen. Stella cooked me a meal and left somewhere herself. But I couldn't even get a piece down my throat. I didn't have an appetite at all. I was already beginning to feel weak as I had not eaten anything for a long time. I understood that I could not hold out for a long time. I had to urgently do something. I decided that I would follow Stella, find out what she was doing when I was not around. I did not think that I would see her cheating. On the contrary, it seemed to me that I would not see anything like that. It would help me put my thoughts in order and calm down. Stella just in the evening was going to go to a meeting with Jessica to talk with her about women. And I decided at this time to start following her. Honey, I'm leaving. I'll try not to be late. Don't be bored here without me, Stella said, putting on her coat. Well, my love, I'll wait for you at home. It's good to take a walk. As soon as Stella left the house, I immediately began to pack. I jumped out into the street through the back entrance and quickly got into the car, started the engine, and drove after Stella. I barely managed to catch up with her, so as not to lose sight of her. Stella was driving quite fast as if she was late. Every minute my fears grew stronger. We didn't drive towards Jessica. I thought maybe they agreed to meet somewhere else. Soon Stella's car stopped in the parking lot. I didn't understand what she was doing here. Stella got out of the car and walked towards another car whose headlights were on. She resignedly got into this car and drove on in an unknown direction to me. Suddenly, we drove to a multi-story building where my company was doing repairs. William's nasty face appeared from behind the wheel. He got out of the car, helped Stella out of the car, then slapped her as to get her to the front door faster. Anger boiled up in me, which was diluted with despair. Now I no longer had any good thoughts left in my head to somehow justify the presence of Stella here. I needed to do something urgently. It was a very new area. There were practically no people here. The families had not yet had time to move in. The house was on the edge. In the trunk, I had equipment for working at height. I decided to shake the old days and go down from the roof straight to the window of the apartment where William and Stella were supposed to be. I climbed onto the roof, tied the rope securely and began to descend. And here I was near this window. A small window was open to ventilate the apartment. The windows were covered with thick curtains, it was only visible that the light was on inside. I took out the phone, turned on the video recording, and carefully put the phone through the window, turning its edge behind the curtain in order to see and hear what was happening inside. Stella, I was looking forward to meeting you again, William said excitedly. Yes, William, and I'm glad to be with you again. Everything is going according to plan. Will you keep your promise? Stella asked. Of course, dear. Your husband, of course, has a good income, but he obviously will not be able to take care of you the way I can. We will go to a chic Spanish town where I have a beautiful villa. You can't even imagine how beautiful it is there. Before that, we will visit the best shops where you will choose the most expensive things. That's just I will close all questions on this property. You understand that in order to resolve issues as quickly as possible, it will not work legally. I still have to withdraw money through your husband's firm. I hope you can help me with this. He will stay here to sort out problems and you and I will go to conquer the world. That would be great. I agree to everything, Stella answered, taking off her blouse. That is great. Now come on, show your daddy some more of your charms. Breathing heavily, William said in a hurry, pulling off his pants. "You are lustful bitches." I shouted, kicked off with all my strength from the wall and flew right through the window. "Kevin, what are you doing here?" Stella screamed in fright, covering her bare chest with a sheet. "What the hell, Kevin?" William shouted. "Shut up. You fat bastard." In response, I shouted and drove with an iron carbine from my equipment right on the fat muzzle of this freak William rolled. Then I slapped Stella in the face and tied her up. William hit his head well when he fell and was unconscious. I also tied him. Then I tied these freaks to the cable on which I came down here. William woke up. They were hanging like two herrings, a fisherman's hook, and screaming at the top of their lungs with fear. I went up to the roof. William and Stella were a couple of floors below me. "And you that bastards as you there?" I asked, smiling. "Kevin, please forgive me." "Forgive me, just don't kill me. I beg you." Stella held all in tears. "Yes, Kevin, come to your senses, I'll compensate you for everything. Just don't kill." William began to beg me. "No. Creatures. There is no forgiveness for you, and there will not be. You bitches will answer for everything. If you can't fly, then you don't stand a chance." I shouted and cut the cable. These creatures flew down in agony and with a crazy cry, feeling that they were soon to be finished. But I did not intend to kill these creatures. I had to make them feel their horror, and I got pretty good at it. They fell on the safety net, which I should have already removed, but decided to leave it for now in order to complete some working nuances. These freaks obviously did not know about it, and at night, it was not visible. I was still in shock. My thoughts were confused. But I still had the sense to go back to the apartment and grab William's briefcase, which he constantly carried with him. There must have been something valuable there. And I was right. There were a lot of fake certificates, fake documents. Everything William did was illegal. I went through the paperwork and saw that everything here was without proper paperwork. I handed over the video and these documents to the police, so instead of a villa in Spain, William was facing a solid term behind bars. And I did not forgive my stupid wife. I hated to look at her. She sold out, traded me for who knows what, and gave herself to that fat bastard. So now Stella was of no value to me. I divorced her. She remained only with her property, or rather only with a bare ass. Even if now with her help, she survives. I continue to develop my company, concluding contracts only with trusted people. My revenge helped me continue to live in peace. Dear listeners, your support is very important to us. If you like our story, please like, comment, and subscribe. It's very motivating for us. We need your feedback to improve our content.